far as the industry is concerned? Has he signed up with some animation companies? Has he signed up with some film producers? Will he be visible on the screen? When is that expected?
We're having explorations right now with meetings. We're talking to people right now. So we're not ready to announce any specific Bollywood connections just yet. There are some talks, there's some relationships that are looking to grow. Our current sort of announcement for India would be our intention to walk the Sea Lake Bridge.
So Bello, who are the actors and actresses in Bollywood you would like to work with?
You know what? At this point, I don't want to name any names yet because we're having conversations. We actually are having genuine conversations, and you know how it goes. Loose lips sink ships. So, sir, you got a question?
Yeah. To Bello? Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Your art, as we call it, requires extreme concentration. I mean, you must be the world #1 person. To have that kind of concentration, which nobody else has, we always get distracted. If I were or
Eric,
a normal person
make sure they get
try
high
to
speed.
do a tightrope, you would look
High
down,
speed
you
internet.
get scared. So what is the
High
secret of
speed.
success? Are you doing some kind of exercises, mental exercises, yoga or meditation? So what is the secret of your success in keeping your concentration so well focused?
Thank you. It's a great question because I believe for each one of us in our different experiences and our different trainings, we all can adapt ourselves or familiarize ourselves or see things with a different set of eyes. Some people would look at someone else doing something and say, wow, that's dangerous. I might look at it and say, oh, okay, we could have done this better, or wow, that's great. So because I've learned my craft and the art at such a young age, I learned the discipline. I'm going to share something with you. I have ADD. I can get distracted very easily unless I'm doing something that tremendously matters to me, and in many points, my life is on the line. But even when I'm practicing, so there's a hyper focus that happens with me also, and that's something that is learned at a very young age. So it's not a meditation for me, although that may work for others. It's not one simple form. I just make sure that there's a good balance. And no one can explain that better than someone who uses extreme balance and physically walking high wires. You can be ADD and all over the place when it's just an enjoyable time, but when it comes time for what most people would consider work, there's a hyper focus. I'm not thinking about what's for dinner when I'm up on the high wire.
Look at the Times Square, Bello. Look at the Times Square stuff.
Yeah.
Scroll down.
Something from your very young age where something, anything.
Dennis
Miller. Yeah. A lot of people ask me about accidents, and that's a very good question, because obviously, if you do something over and over, you're bound to have either a mistake or you're bound to have, and there are people that go out and try things not knowing the outcome. There are people that do things for the wrong reason. They might be in the pursuit of fame and fortune. And we all know that if that is your focus, you might get there, but it won't last long. I'm very proud to say I've been performing for over 30 years in over 30 countries. I've done many, many death-defying stunts, not a single broken bone in my body. There are 3 books that came out in the past 5 to 8 years that described my father as one of the most respected men in the circus or entertainment business. He also died of natural causes, laying in bed, not a single broken bone in his body. There are other family members in circus. There are other family members in daredevilry, the Wallendas, the Knievels, that are much more famous than my last name, Nock, but I would consider it for the wrong reason. They're all friends of ours. But when you can have a safety record, I would say that's something you would be more proud of than any physical achievement.
Do you have any safety precautions or a safety net while you're performing in this stunt?
That's another great question. When I do any of these stunts, I work without a net, a safety wire, or any safeties. The safety is in the training. The safety is the long preparation. There's 2 things. One, a safety can provide a false sense of security. If you start to lose your balance, you won't fight to maintain balance, or you might not fight to catch on. You might think, well, I'm going to fall and the net will catch me. Sometimes the net or airbag may not do what it's supposed to do. The safety may not do what it's supposed to do. Or sometimes it's not there. Where I perform, it's usually too high for a net or an airbag. It will do no good, because anything over 100 feet, a net or an airbag is not designed for. And anything under 100 feet, 150 feet, and I've always said, I've always done what I said I'm going to do. There's a balance there. And so what that challenge is how many stunts can I do in the shortest amount of time? We live in an ADD world. We live in a world where people want that now. Did you get the email? Did you get my text? Get my phone call? We want it now. Print it. Do it. Well, I live in that world, in my brain and in my life. Well, I've prepared for the opportunity of a lifetime, meeting Neil Mant and Mant brothers, who I would love to tell you more about in a second. These are the people that brought you, if you know it or not, they brought India to the world. These are the people, Neil Mant and his brother, Mant brothers, brought Last Stop for Charlie, Last Stop for Paul, $1 Million Arm.
$1 Million Arm is our India project. We had a film that's out right now from Disney called $1 Million Arm, and it's a true story about Indian baseball players.
Yeah, so they actually represented your country to the world. Millions of people have seen it, but it also helps stimulate the economy here and tourism. And that's what we're that's one part of what we're pursuing, of what we're wanting to do here. It's got to be a win-win-win situation. It's got to be just as good for you as it is for us. But about the stunts, the ultimate on August 30th will be the single hardest task, feat, or stunt that a human being has ever tried. Because usually you can gear up and wear gear for one stunt. No safety, no net, no line. You can't wear these big football pads or big pads if you're going to get shot out of a cannon or be agile and climb a pole. So every time you do one more stunt, it negates the gear that you need to wear. So it makes it so dangerous and so difficult. If you look at the statistics of some of the things, there have been 24 people that have got shot out of a cannon, and 12 of them have been successful. And by successful, we say they haven't lost their life doing it. Doesn't mean they didn't get hurt. So now that's just one of the elements. And in that element, I'm going to fly over a helicopter. And that's just one element of the 15.
Next question. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you said he doesn't use any tattoos or piercing as a branding. What about the hairs?
The hair has been Bello's hair for a very long time. I'll let Bello chime in on that one.
To make clear, he didn't say tattoos or piercings as a branding. It's just something that I have not done. I've never tried drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. Happily married for 10 years. Well, I've been married for 26 years, but I've been happily married for 10. She doesn't like that joke. The hair is something that I'd like to share this with you. It's, I think, very important. When I was 11 years old, I was in a water ski stunt show at SeaWorld of Orlando and Cypress Gardens. So I was doing a water ski stunt show. I was 11 years old, and I was working with about 30 other stuntmen or daredevils. They were all about 18 to 30 years old. And they all got short haircuts because it looks good in and out of the water doing stunts. Well, I wanted to be like them if I was going to work with them. I got a crew cut. I'm very fair-skinned, so a half hour out in the sun, I get a sunburn. I've never tanned in my life. Well, I sunburned the top of my head. Means you don't want to touch it, right? So a week later, I was like, just better leave it. 2 weeks later, my hair is growing a little bit. Oh, it's standing up. A couple weeks later, it is about that tall. And I'm in entertainment. I'm also a kid who loves attention. Look at me. I always have been like that. Well, people started looking at me, and entertainment is not a bad thing. It is when you're a naughty kid and you say, it wasn't me. Oh, it must have been the other kid with foot-tall hair. It's red. So, at my wedding, I wore my hair like this. my dad's funeral, I wear my hair like this. When my kids were born, the first thing they saw was a man with hair like this. I have worn my hair like this every day, even if I'm not performing, if I go shot a made-up name. It is my birth, one of my birth-given real names. So what you see is what you get. I would venture to say I'm the ultimate reality show.